And for a president that campaigned on less wars and campaigned on world peace, he's doing a really lousy job so far. And so the people here, they're making sure that we have arms controls. They're making sure that we have a standing around the world. They're making sure that we have legitimacy in places all around the world and regions that are unstable. They are stabilizing the unstable regions, and they are doing the work that's been years in the making. And by pulling that away, you are making the regions unstable, you are hurting our country, and you're hurting our entire globe and our entire ecosystem. And so I'll say this, that the folks that are being fired here today, they deserve to continue their work, and it's the president that should get the pink slip, not them. So thank you for your service to those who are being affected by this, and just know that this is not the end of this fight. We will continue to fight, whether it's in Congress. We may not have the votes, but we have the voices, and we have the people behind us. And so we will continue to tell the stories of the work that was being done here. And we will continue to make sure that everyone knows about what they're missing by losing these folks. And we will make sure that this is not the last thing that happens, that we will get these folks back, and that we will serve the American people, and we will continue the work that happened here. So thank you to the folks, and just know that we have your back. Thank you so much, and thank you for showing up for them today.
Thank you so much, Congressman. I am going to introduce our next speaker. Ozra Zaya is the President and CEO of Human Rights First, a longtime diplomat and human rights champion, and former Undersecretary for Civilian Security, Democracy, and Human Rights at the State Department. So she knows what she's talking about. Okay. Thank you, Congressman. Thanks to all of you here today who are sweating in solidarity with the courageous public servants who have been so gravely wronged today. Because nonpartisan, selfless public service is the backbone of U.S. diplomacy that makes Americans safer, more prosperous, and more secure. I learned that lesson firsthand as an American diplomat over 3 decades when I served alongside courageous colleagues who faced down Al-Qaeda and ISIS. They deployed far from their families. They endured disease and Kremlin harassment, and they saved fellow Americans and vulnerable civilians in peril, all with an ethos that I would sum up in 4 words. We live to serve. Some, like my dear friends Chris Stevens and Pravi Cavalier, made the ultimate sacrifice in service to our nation. 321 names of fallen State Department heroes are etched in stone in the lobby of the building behind us, and they remind us that diplomacy is fraught with risk. But I never thought that ever-present danger would emerge from within the halls of the Harry S. Truman building itself. Secretary Rubio's cruel, unjust, unprecedented firing of over 1,300 dedicated American public servants decimates U.S. diplomacy, and it makes us less safe. Let's be clear who loses and who wins here. The American people have lost tireless advocates for U.S. exports that generate jobs. We lost champions of a free and open internet that fuels innovation and respects our rights. We've lost America's voice at UN bodies where our adversaries gladly usurp U.S. leadership. These mass layoffs also mean abandonment of human rights reformers abroad who challenge dictators, termination of conflict resolution support that ended wars, repudiation of U.S. humanitarian leadership that staved off famine, and more kleptocrats, war criminals, and human traffickers escaping justice. Rather than retaining the skills and expertise honed over decades by those who lived to serve, Rubio kneecapped American human rights and humanitarian leadership in one fell swoop, a Friday morning massacre. These 1,300 workers kicked to the curb today include U.S. veterans, fluent linguists, policy visionaries, and shrewd negotiators who will no longer be promoting U.S. interests and values overseas. include civil service stalwarts who pursued advanced degrees at night, are among the world's greatest experts on chemical weapons and protecting Americans abroad, welcomed tens of thousands of Afghan allies to our shores, served with distinction in the U.S. services, and brought Chinese and Arabic fluency to our ranks. They include foreign service officers who signed on for worldwide service in some of the most difficult environments, far from loved ones in adequate medical care, and who could readily fill chronic vacancies in U.S. embassies abroad where Chinese diplomats now outnumber us. In my 3+ years as Undersecretary, I saw their remarkable results firsthand. From community-run radio stations challenging Wagner Group disinformation and violent extremist footholds in the Sahel, to the liberation of hundreds of political prisoners and survivors of religious persecution in Nicaragua, to uplifting the lives of women and preventing child malnutrition at the world's largest refugee camp in Bangladesh, to helping the Iranian woman, life, and freedom movement connect with the outside world. These colleagues live to serve, and they save lives on a daily basis. Their termination is a travesty, and it extinguishes a beacon of hope that America, despite all its flaws, for years has represented to the world through Republican and Democratic administrations, making us less respected in the world and alienating our allies. But let's also not forget who wins here. This is a happy day for autocrats, terrorists, and criminals alike, because they are now freer to crack down on human rights, to target the vulnerable, to enjoy impunity and foment conflict. Governments from China to Iran can double down on transnational repression, including into the United States, now that 80% of the Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor has been gutted, along with the earlier elimination of the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force. Russian war criminals must be rejoicing at the demise of the Office of Global Criminal Justice, which provided Ukrainian prosecutors with investigative tools that secured convictions in real time as atrocities proceeded. The erasure of the Office to Combat Trafficking in Persons is a bonanza for human enslavers, who can rest easier knowing that JTIP staffing and programs have been slashed. The elimination of the Bureau of Conflict and Stabilization Operations abandons a groundbreaking bipartisan strategy to counter fragility, and it leaves coastal West African nations more vulnerable to violent extremist predation. To conclude, too much of what I'm seeing these days at home mirrors the authoritarian playbook that I countered for years abroad, and this demands a decisive stand from all of us. Of course, the State Department, our dear State Department, after the brutal elimination of USAID, joins a long list of U.S. government agencies targeted for purges. Donald Trump apparently believes that he, his families, and his cronies can flourish in an environment where the state's capacity to function is degraded, following a long tradition of autocratic civil service purges from Russia to Turkey to Hungary. If Congress abdicates its responsibility to check him, the rest of us will be left to suffer the consequences. So we must stand together and speak out. Yes. Let's call upon bipartisan members of Congress to use their oversight authority to demand transparency about these self-inflicted hits to U.S. national security and seek their reversal. The Senate must also reject the rescissions package that will decimate U.S. human rights and humanitarian leadership, defy decades of bipartisan directives, and leave a gaping vacuum for Russia and the People's Republic of China to fill. And finally, let's honor the sacrifice of American diplomats who live to serve by stepping up for them, defending American diplomacy, and protecting our democracy. Let's support bedrock legal protections and labor rights, including union representation. for our selfless career public servants. And to quote Franklin Delano Roosevelt, we must especially beware the small group of selfish men who would clip the wings of the American eagle in order to feather their own nests. History will hold them to account, but we must do so first. Thank you all.
Thank you, Ezra. I'm going to introduce Kelly Faye Rodriguez. She was the senior diplomat leading global labor policy under the last administration and more recently co-founded the Alliance for Diplomacy and Justice. And she has a very illustrious bio, but I'll leave it there. Shout? Okay, can you hear me in the back? So, to all of the workers who received RIFs today, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We thank you for your service, for your dedication, for your commitment to deliver for the American public, for America's workers, families and communities, and those inside and outside of the United States and around the world. I want you to know that we see you. You are not alone. There is a strong and growing movement of people, workers just like you, who see you, we know your value, and the labor movement has your back. The actions this president has taken, supposedly in the name of American workers, includes gutting international labor programs, policies, and staff. It's a bold-faced lie. He's stripping rights from workers and deporting people who belong here. The truth is that these actions hurt workers here and everywhere. We know that they undermine the ability of America's workers to access decent wages and safe working conditions or negotiate a fair deal. I've seen you work through the night, travel far away from your families, and sacrifice personal comforts for your job because you believe in it. I know the federal workers here who fight child and forced labor overseas, combat abuses like union busting and violence against workers around the world, and they work to end unfair competition in our global economy. In fact, dismissing en masse civil and foreign servants who have worked for decades to improve the lives and opportunities for working people, it hurts workers everywhere. Workers from Jackson, Mississippi, to Berlin, Germany, to Johannesburg, South Africa, Bogota, Colombia, to Manila in the Philippines. These actions weaken our economy and fragile global supply chains. They undermine our trade and national security. They jeopardize the livelihoods, rights, and ability for workers to have a safe and decent job here, again, and around the world. In the labor movement, we know that an injustice anywhere is a threat to injustice everywhere, and this is an injustice. These kinds of tactics are obviously intended to chill our rights, to make us fearful, and to abandon the potential of our own collective power. It's the classic tactics of a anti-union employer and of an authoritarian. It's okay. Yeah. It's okay to be sad and heartbroken, and to also be angry and furious. This is your moment to tell your stories, to find solace and solidarity, and to please organize. And our next speaker is a champion for you. He knows the importance of collective action and of using his voice. It's a privilege and honor to introduce the senator from Maryland who stood up for a fellow union worker, Gilma Labrego Garcia, in his fight for justice. Senator Van Hollen, we thank you for your leadership, and we welcome your remarks.
Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. Are all of you here to stand up for the country that we love? To help defend our democracy here at home and support democracy overseas? to stand up for human rights here at home and human rights overseas. I want to thank all of you. I want to thank all of you who are gathered here. I especially want to thank all of you who are here who work for the State Department, who were the victims of these outrageous layoffs. I want to thank the civil servants and the foreign service workers, all of you who help advance American interests and values overseas. We thank you. We thank you and we stand with you, and I want to thank everybody who works at the Department of State who is a civil servant or a foreign service officer, because they do that work every day for all of us. They help through the work of diplomacy. They help keep us out of wars. They help defeat the spread of pandemics. They help promote human rights and democracy overseas. They advance American interests in 1,000 different ways, often unsung stories that people don't know about, but they are working 24/7 to advance. And so we are all here today to say we stand with you. I want to make sure everyone hears that we stand with you. Because, as was said, what Donald Trump and Marco Rubio want is they want everybody to go away in silence. Are we going to go away in silence? No. Hell no, we're not going to go away. Because what is happening today with the layoffs of 1,300 patriotic public servants weakens America. It makes us less safe. It hurts everyone in our country because it diminishes our ability to advance America's interests and America's values around the world. And so we're not going to sit still while this happens, are we? No. This is not America first. This is America in retreat, and we don't want America retreating, do we? No. Hell no, we don't want to be retreating, because as was said, if we retreat, that helps our adversaries, and it hurts our friends and allies. When we retreat, it helps the autocrats and the dictators, and it undermines those fighting for human rights and democracy around the world. So they're all counting on us to make sure that we uphold our democracy here at home so that we can support people fighting for democracy everywhere else in the world. Are we in to do that? Now, as this is a great retreat, it's going to hurt us in so many ways, because as we disengage from the world, we lose. We are the ones who lose when we stop engaging. It's not just retreating from our hard values. I will say that if you talk to generals, wise generals who have served in the U.S. military, and you ask them what we need more of, they will tell you we need more diplomacy and more diplomats, because the best way to stop a war is not to start one in the first place. Our foreign and national security policy is rested on three important pillars: on defense, on diplomacy, and on development. This administration came in and took a chainsaw to development with respect to AID, and we're going to need to reverse the damage and rebuild it, and we do need to make sure that we defeat the bill on rescissions that would eliminate PEPFAR support. And we need to call upon every patriotic member of the Senate to do the right thing, support our interests. What we're seeing today, after having taken a chainsaw, let's give them a round of applause. I can hear you. What we're doing today, after they took a chainsaw to development, is they're taking a big meat axe to diplomacy. And that will hurt us, and it also means a retreat from our principles and values. Now, I saw this statement from Marco Rubio that he was trying to root out, quote, radical political ideology. Here's the thing, in this administration, it is radical political ideology to believe in human rights. That should not be radical political ideology. To believe in the promotion of democracy, to believe in freedom of speech. And we shouldn't be taking lectures from anybody whose first order of business was to essentially stop refugee admissions from desperate people in dangerous places around the country and only allow in white South Africans. That sounds like a radical political ideology to me. And we shouldn't take any lectures from somebody who cut off humanitarian assistance to people who were suffering a genocide in Sudan in order to make up a fake genocide in South Africa. Let's give them another round of applause. And we certainly shouldn't take any lectures from anybody who goes around telling Europeans or lecturing them about free speech when they're locking up students in the United States of America for exercising their First Amendment rights. I didn't realize that the First Amendment was radical political ideology. And we shouldn't take any lectures from anybody who says that they're fighting for human rights when they're involved in disappearing people off the streets of the United States of America and sending them to gulags in El Salvador. So what we're seeing actually is a very warped view of America. And all of you are standing up for what's good and great about America. And that is exactly what the men and women at the State Department fight for every day. They're not Democrats, they're not Republicans, they're not partisans, they're American patriots. And they are standing up for our country every day. I'm going to close with this. I was proud to grow up in a Foreign Service family. My father was a diplomat. He worked here at the State Department. My mother was a civil servant here at the State Department in the Bureau of Intelligence Research many years later. They were patriots. They loved our country just like all of you love our country. And all of us who love our country are so disappointed in this moment. But it is up to us, and this is why you're all here. It is up to us to make sure that we reclaim our country and the values that make us great. And we are not going away. And we are going to continue to fight this in the Senate. We got a lot of damage that's been done that we're going to have to repair in the years ahead. And we need to do everything we can to stop what's happening right now. That has to happen in the courts. It has to happen in the Congress. But most of all, this is what gives me great hope, it has to happen in communities all over the country. And people are standing up like you are right now. And what dictators and authoritarians and bullies want is they want people to go away. They want them to be quiet. They want them to go quietly into the night. But real patriots, they stand up at moments like this. Thank you all very much for being here. Thank you all for being wonderful patriots.
Thank you so much, Senator. And speaking of patriots, it's my honor to introduce a son of our State Department, someone who has devoted his entire career to serving the American people, to defending democracy, to helping literally pick up the pieces in the U.S. Congress in the wake of January 6th. I am proud to introduce Senator Andy Kim.
Thank you, everyone, for joining up. I'm Senator Andy Kim. I'm not going to speak too long because I'll tell you, this is tough. I'm feeling a lot, and I know all of you are. It was 16 years ago that I walked through those doors for the very first day of my job at the State Department. I was brand new at NEA, brand new to be able to serve this country, and I was so proud to have that opportunity to serve. And I had the opportunity to serve alongside many of you, trying to do our best. And we did it knowing full well, we're not doing it as Republicans or Democrats. We're doing it to serve our country right now through such difficult times. I'll be honest, we have a lot of challenges as a country right now. And a lot of people have asked me, how do we pull out of this tailspin? How do we move forward as a nation? And I've often said, I don't have all the answers, but what I can tell you is that what we need right now is a new era of public service, a recommitment in this country to what it is that all of us have done. This recognition that we're part of something bigger than all of us, and be able to try to do our best to be able to shape the trajectory of this country that we love so much. I am here today because you all are the best of us. You are exactly the answer to the problem that we see in this country right now. But the problem is, because you are the answer to the problems, that's why you're coming under attack. You're coming under attack because those that want to push a different agenda understand that you are the most dangerous to them, because you do something that many people in this city, many people in politics cannot understand. You are not doing this for your own personal glory or personal benefit. You are doing this out of love of country. And I can tell you, as someone who engages on a daily basis with some of the folks that I'm talking about here, they are perplexed by you. They do not understand you. They cannot comprehend that someone is doing something solely out of a sense of what is best for this country and what is best for our nation at this time. So please, today is tough. And to those that have been riffed, to those that have been fired today, I just want to say, I'm sorry. And you have deserved better than this. I think every single person, when you leave this building, you walk through out those doors for the final time, you should do it with honor and dignity. You should not do it out of humiliation and out of this type of weaponization of politics. You deserve better. But what I hope we can all do is recommit ourselves. This is not a time for us to feel apathetic. This is not a time for us to feel helpless. I've often said that I believe that the opposite of democracy is apathy. We cannot give in to that helplessness. We have to channel it into energy and to real action. So please, today's a tough day, and we'll be there for each other. But now we have to say, well, what are we going to do tomorrow? What are we going to do next week? What are we going to do next month? I commit to you, I will do everything I humanly can as a public servant, as a former State Department official, to be able to stand alongside you and fight for what it is that we were willing to put our lives on the line for, what we were willing to do to be able to serve this country. I still believe in the State Department, and I know you do too. So let's go out there and protect it. Thanks, everyone.
Wow. What a powerful bunch of speakers we have. I wanna see something. How many people here have ever worked at the State Department? And how many people here got laid off today? All right. Thank you for being here. You could be going home or crying in a bar, but you're here with your colleagues, and we appreciate that. And I want to say, nobody gets to tell you whether you're a public servant or not. You know you're public servants, and I hope you will continue to be public servants. Speaking of lifelong public servants, I want to introduce Enrique Roig. Enrique is currently the Director of Policy at the Seattle International Foundation and former Deputy Assistant Secretary in the Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights, and Labor here at the State Department.
Can everybody hear me? Thank you, Senator Van Hollen and Senator Kemp, for being with us today to show solidarity. And I wish it's good to see so many friends and colleagues. Obviously, I wish it was under different circumstances today. I, of course, had to be here to show my own solidarity and appreciation for all of you, the dedicated State Department employees, people who have spent their careers protecting American interest, who are now being arbitrarily fired, not for failing to do your jobs or because we don't need you, but because of what office you happen to be in at this moment. So let me be clear, that's not reform, that's sabotage. And who is leading this charge? Yes, Secretary Rubio. And by the way, where is he today?
Where is he?
He couldn't even be bothered to show some leadership and empathy for all of you being fired. Where is Marco? Marco, where are you? Where is Marco?
Marco Polo.
Where is Marco?
Where is Marco Polo?
This is the same person who never stops talking about threats from Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, Iran, and China. But here's the thing, friends. You can't claim to defend democracy while you're defunding the department that actually defends it. You can't talk tough on authoritarian regimes and then fire the very people who've spent their entire careers standing up to them. This isn't about performance or values, it's about politics, and the cost is enormous. Meanwhile, China and Russia are filling the void. This is not just bad policies, this is malpractice. And I know that at the same time, this has very personal implications for all of you. After having lived and worked in high threat posts, sacrificed time with family, and lived through hardship after hardship, you're now being fired. That means facing economic uncertainty, losing health care, and figuring out childcare costs and how to cover rent and your mortgage. And so, friends, what message does that send? That if you serve your country too well for too long, you're expendable? This is the exact opposite of how we treat soldiers. When the Army closes a base, they reassign the troops. They don't fire them. But that's exactly what's happening here. We're throwing away decades of investment and experience. We're turning our back on people who have risked their lives for the American flag. And for what? To satisfy a political agenda. So this isn't just about saving jobs. It's about saving what those jobs represent. All of you here today, pushed out, have advanced American interests around the world under Democratic and Republican presidents alike. You are patriots. And the fact that you are being dismissed with zero regard for the law, for veterans' protections, or for common decency, it should outrage every single American. So let's be very clear. This is not how a serious country treats its civil servants and foreign service officers. This is not how a confident superpower defends its values. And this is not how we win the future. So I'm standing here today, not just in defense of you, but in defense of the America that I believe in, that we all believe in. One that values service. One that plays the long game. One that doesn't hand its global leadership over to adversaries without a fight. Because when we fire our diplomats and civil servants, we fire our future. So God bless all of you, and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Enrique. Now I'm pleased to introduce Tom Countryman. Tom is, I guess he has fans in this crowd. Tom is the former Assistant Secretary of State for Non-Proliferation. Not so fun fact about Tom, he knows what it's like to get unceremoniously fired by this administration. He was actually fired by President Trump in the first week of his first term. Tom.
How's that? All of you who are here today have the most important job in America, that of citizen. So thank you for coming out to do your job. When I left this building 8 years ago, it didn't hurt me. I had had a full career full of challenges. But to see people at the peak of their contribution, at the peak of their intellectual prowess, still full of patriotism and ready to do public service, thrown on the street, and multiply that by 1,000, it's a dark day for an institution with one of the proudest histories in our country. I don't like to preach, but I do like to advise. And I would like to give 5 or 6 quick points for those who are going home today and not coming back on Monday. Good lessons, I hope, for all of us, born from my experience and that of others. Number 1, take some time off. Take a walk, go visit a beautiful park, hug your children, visit an old friend. Do not obsess for at least a few weeks with what you see happening around you. Build back your mental and your physical health. Number 2, do not sink into doom watching, doom scrolling, or any other time of overconsumption of news. You cannot drown your distress by increasing your consumption of distressing news. It doesn't work that way. Find the sources, whether mainstream or new, that speak about the issues you care about, and don't stress about every other issue. Number 3, when you get home, a little bit every day, write down what you did, what your office did, what your bureau did. Do not let your achievements, your leadership's achievements, previous administration's achievements disappear into a Doge memory hole. This is important for you, for your next job, for your family, for future congressional investigators and future prosecutors. So do it. Number 4, get out and talk to your senator, your representative, whatever party he or she is from. Tell them what you did. Tell them why it mattered. Tell them what happens when that work doesn't get done and what they can do to protect federal workers from the kind of abuse that you have experienced. And while you're at it, get out and talk to your hometown Rotary Club, your high school, your college. Tell them what the State Department does for America. Number 5, when you're ready to put on long pants again and get out there and do some work, look at the organizations that are working hard for the values that we believe in. Whether they are partisan or nonpartisan, there is no substitute for organized cooperative work by volunteers. I will push my own Foreign Policy for America organization as well as national security leaders for America and others. And finally, number 6, when you leave here today, whether this is the last time you leave here or whether you're coming back on Monday, walk home with your head held high and proud. You are respected, you are appreciated, you are admired by the American people, even if the current leadership fails to show you respect and appreciation. I cannot for the life of me imagine that any of the 9 secretaries of state that I served under would accept the decapitation, the decimation, rather, of their department with the kind of docile obedience that Secretary Rubio has shown. And it's not just in America. Around the world, I've heard time and again from citizens of other countries, from diplomats of other countries, that the State Department, with the backbone of the civil service, with the core of the Foreign Service, has earned that respect and admiration all around the world.
You deserve appreciation. You deserve respect. And from every American patriot, you have it. God bless you all.
I'm starting to see why Tom is popular. I wish I didn't have to introduce this last speaker. I'm excited to hear from him, but I wish we didn't have to hear from him today. Michael Duffin joined the State Department in 2013 as a Presidential Management Fellow and has worked in the Bureau of Counterterrorism, not important at all, right, for the last 9 years. He is a highly decorated diplomat who has served some of the State Department's, who developed some of the State Department's first policies and programs to counter white supremacy and other forms of violent extremism. He was fired today. Michael.
Thank you.
I'm Michael Duffin, and I've been a civil servant at the State Department for 12 years. Today I received the notification at 10:54 that my position at my office, the Office of Countering Violent Extremism, was going to be eliminated as a result of the Trump administration's reorganization plan. The patriotic men and women of the State Department have provided their nonpartisan expertise to every administration since 1789. The oath of office we have taken to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic, is a sacred pledge which we dutifully honor. Many of us have gone through significant hardships to serve our country. Colleagues posted domestically and abroad have experienced Havana syndrome, and many of us have missed anniversaries, birthdays, and other special family events because of the demands of our jobs. Some of our colleagues have even lost their lives in terrorist attacks and natural disasters. Their sacrifices were not made for a president or a political party, but to the principles of our great republic, which has stood strong since 1776. No one at the State Department would disagree with the need for reform, but arbitrarily laying off people like me and others, irrespective of their performance, is not the right way to do it. Like others impacted by these cuts, I have 2 young kids at home who depend on my salary. The mass firing of federal employees and overall cuts in foreign assistance has made it difficult for many of us to find employment in the private sector. But we are resilient and will roll up our sleeves. We have no alternative. My thoughts are with the current and former federal workers across this country. We will get through this nightmare together. And if you need help, reach out to me. God bless. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to wrap up in a few minutes. Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for their service. Can I see that show of hands again? Who was fired today? Okay, too many of you. Too many of you. I have a message for you. Well, I already told you your public service doesn't end today. I hope it doesn't end today. I hope you take the weekend, nap, cry, do whatever you need to do, and then get back on your feet and keep fighting, because we're going to need you, and there are a lot of ways you can get involved. One way is by showing up to the Senate on Tuesdays. There's a group called the Tuesday Group. Many folks here go to the Senate every Tuesday. We go around to Senate offices and House offices. We educate them about the work that we did before we were fired by DOJ. These lawmakers, they have no idea because DOJ doesn't tell them. So they have no idea that there are fewer people administrating Social Security, carrying out our foreign policy, keeping our food and drugs safe, telling us about diseases at the CDC. So one good way to stay informed is to follow an Instagram or Blue Sky account called Feds Work For You. Feds Work For You. Lots of good information there. I'll name a couple of organizations doing great work, and you can check them out and see if you're interested. One is the Federal Unionist Network. They are federal unionists, as the name implies, who are trying to make their unions and the public service and America stronger. They're doing great work. There's another group called Federal Workers Against DOJ, which is pretty self-explanatory. You can check them out. I will note that now that you've been fired, you have a superpower. You have the freedom to speak speak out, which people on the inside may not have. And I strongly urge you to take advantage of that. I know that career public servants don't love the idea of, being on camera. They're like, but now is the time to really take your power and speak out. So let's end with a couple of chants. My favorite part of any rally. We'll do when diplomacy is under attack, what do we do? Rise up, fight back, and we'll do a couple rounds of that. When diplomacy is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
Rise up, fight back.
I had it right.
When diplomacy is under attack, what do we do?
Rise up, fight back.
When the civil service is under attack, what do we do?
Rise up, fight back.
When the State Department is under attack, what do we do?
Rise up, fight back.
When our families are under attack, what do we do?
Rise up, fight back.
When our rights are under attack, what do we do?
Rise up, fight back.
When patriotic State Department workers are under attack, what are we going to do?
Rise up, fight back.
What do we do?
Rise up, fight back.
What do we do again?
Rise up, fight back.
Thank you, everyone, for being here today.
Okay, I walked with you because I'm not going to. I'm going to head out.
Are you going back to the office?
Yep.
No warning. Yes.
It's different. Weird, but I spoke with your CSO.
Thank you for coming. I have the Reuters app on my phone. Thank you for coming and covering this today.
But yeah, so it's another
hush-hush ECA policy.
Yeah, because I was just saying, like,
You guys gave me the current